Hi guys! I want to do a page in my notebook today using the high and low kit from Brandi, Kincaid and Feed Your Craft, and this kit's quite sort of orientated towards growth, moving forward, that sort of thing here. You've seen a couple of pages that I've done and they've been orientated towards like growing plants and self-growth. But I was looking at these stamps this morning and I think I've got the perfect photo that I want to use, which takes these growth stamps in a slightly different direction. So I'm going to show you in Photoshop how I get that photo set up to go into my notebook. So this is my photo and I've just opened it up in Photoshop. I mean, how cute is this? That little guy just slays me. But what I want to do is, so obviously this is like a landscape photo and I want to make a like a full page photo, a portrait photo for my Traveler's Notebook page. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my crop tool. And I want to crop that to 11 centimeters by 21 centimeters, and I think in inches it's roughly about 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, I think. And I'm just going to drag that out. Now Photoshop's going to tell me that it just wants to crop to this size here, but obviously I'm not going to be able to fit both of our beautiful faces in here. Actually, that's not true. I could totally crop it like that, but that's not what I want to do because I want to see a bit more of the photo. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit and then I'm going to grab these I don't even know what you call them. I'm going to grab one of the corners and holding down the shift key so that it stays the same size, I'm just going to drag this out so it's taller. I want my photo to sit at the bottom, somewhere roughly like this, because I'm going to be able to see both of our faces, and then obviously there's going to be all this blank space at the top. So I just hit return. And this is my Traveler's Notebook sized photo with the actual photo at the bottom. So I've got all of this white space at the top here, which obviously isn't ideal. I'm going to grab my marquee tool and just drag out a rectangle over the white space, and I'm just going to bring that down a little bit onto the photo. This sort of technique works really well for a photo that has a really plain background like this. Obviously we just took it against a wall in our kitchen, so it does have a plain white background. This looks grey, but the wall is white. And this technique really only works for that sort of blank background like that. If you have a bunch of stuff in the background, this technique is probably not going to work well, and you should attempt to take the photo in the orientation that you think you might use it. But for this one, I'm going to cheat and change it a little bit. So I've got my square all selected here, and I'm going to go to Edit and Fill. And I just want to make sure it's on content aware. There's a whole bunch of other options in here, but the one I want is content aware. And I'm going to go OK, and it is going to think about it for a while. And depending on how complicated your background is, this process can take a little while because Photoshop is thinking about how best to fill in the background. And as you can see, it did reasonably well and decided to fill it in grey. So I'm totally happy with that. I can deselect the background and then go ahead and print my photo. So I printed out my photo and I had this sort of scrap of photo paper left. It used to be A4 and I've already printed a full page photo on there. So I didn't waste this blank space. I wasn't going to be able to fit another full page Traveler's Notebook photo on there, so I printed a couple of 3x4s that I can use on another page at another time. But now I have my full page photo, I can get on with the page. So first things first, I just need to trim my photo from the rest of my photo paper there. This is now going to be the right size for my actual Traveler's Notebook page. And what I want to do is do some stamping on the background of this photo. So I don't want the stamping to go over top of my faces. I want it to look like it's going in behind my photo. Now, I've never actually done this before, but I did see a post on Instagram from Kelly Winnell, and she had done something similar to this in her pocket page notebook. So I decided to give it a whirl. I don't know how exactly she managed to get her photo in front of her stamping, but the way that I'm doing is I'm just creating myself a little mask here, and I did that by grabbing a scrap of vellum, sort of a lighter vellum, this one almost like a tracing paper, laid that over top of my photo and then just drew around the silhouette of our faces. And then I just used my scissors to fussy cut that. It wasn't like strictly completely perfect, but you can see here it does the job. Now I've put a bit of scrap paper behind my photo, and to stop that photo slipping around all over the place, I just put a little bit of washi tape on the back of it, double-sided that, and stuck that onto my scrap paper. And then I put my mask down on top and just taped that onto the scrap paper as well. So now nothing's gonna move and I can go ahead and start doing my stamping. So I am using a few of the stamps from the high and low kit. I just pulled them off the backing sheet and stuck them down separately so that I would know which ones I was using. And I'm just gonna randomly stamp these over my background. The only thing that I am doing is I'm gonna graduate the colors of ink, and this wasn't quite as successful as I had hoped it would be. I don't think I picked my colors particularly well, but I grabbed my ombre black and gray Hero Arts ink, and I also grabbed, I think it's soft gray, the little cube of ink there. So I'm just starting from the bottom, working with my lightest colors all the way up to the top. Now this technique would totally work with a repeat block pattern like I've done before, but I sort of wanted to do this a little bit more randomly, so I'm just picking up one stamp at a time and just sort of roughly stamping it on the background here. So you can see I started with my lightest grey ink, and I really like that. It worked really nicely. The transition from the lightest grey ink to the next lightest grey ink isn't particularly subtle, which is where I wish I had another transition shade in the middle of that. But apart from that, I'm moving up from the lightest ink in my ombre pad through the middle and to black at the top. And I like the black. I like the black at the top. I like the really light grey at the bottom, just not super fussed on those two middle greys in the middle there. So next time I do this, I will be a bit more careful about testing those ink colours on my photo paper first. And that's it. It didn't take that long, to be honest. I know I've sped this up here, but it really didn't take long in real life either. And now I can go ahead and stick this photo into my notebook. Now, this does all depend on your success with stamping on photo paper, and I will link my video about how I stamp onto photo paper up the top here. I say this again and again, it is all totally dependent on the type of paper that you use rather than the type of ink that you use. I print at home on Canon Photo Glossy 2 paper, and I credit that with all of my success for stamping on photos. Now I knew in the kit there was this journaling card with the 4 little journaling spots on it, so I'm going to use that. And then I wanted to get some gold alphas to match the sort of orangey gold colours in the photo. And did you see the amount of gold alphas there? Do we think we've got a problem? Yes, I do. So instead of even using alphas, they had these pink fresh puffy stickers in the same drawer as my gold alphas, and I pulled those out too because I thought the colour of the gold was a bit different from all the rest of them. It was that really orangey coloured gold, which actually works perfectly with my photo. And that sentiment on there, oh my heart, again, it works perfectly with my photo as well. So I figured, why fuss about with alphas when I can use a ready-made sentiment? The journaling card I felt like was a little bit heavy with that grey background, so I chopped out the little blocks in here, and I only did 3. I kind of like 3 rather than 4, so I've cut all of the light grey off those, and then I'm going to stick them onto my page here. They're a little bit offset, kind of wonky on the card, and I struggled to work out how to put them into my notebook. So what I've done is the vertical lines around the numbers I have made vertical on the page, and that makes the rest of the horizontal lines a little bit wonkier. So I think it looks okay, and it lines up along the edge of my page nicely, so I'm going with that. Now I wanted to be really careful about how I placed these stickers back down, so I grabbed my tweezers out and I'm laying the clear sheet on top, and it's almost impossible to see here on the video, but the way I could angle the sheet on my page, I could actually see the way the heart went together because they are separate, the H and the T there. And then I'm just adding the rest of these alphas just lined up to the top of my page. So that made the placement of it very, very easy. And you can see the color of this gold is just, it's almost perfect for this photo. I'm glad I had these rather than that sort of lighter, I think they call it vintage gold when it's that sort of lighter gold color, but this yellow gold looks really cute. To tie the two pages together just a little bit more, I added 3 of those hearts, one between me and Jack, and a couple next to my journaling here. So this photo was of Jack when he was down here staying with me, and we had done a little photo shoot because I bought him a new outfit. And when we were finished, I was giving him cuddles, and that baby wanted to eat my face. So luckily my sister had my camera and she grabbed this photo, and I just love it. For my journaling, I didn't want to use a black pen. I didn't want it to take up too much attention from the page. So I've got a couple of these little grey pens, and I just tested which one. And in the end, I went with the lighter one. It's not reading very well here on camera, but in real life, it is much more readable than it is here. And I'm just telling 3 tiny little things that I remembered about Jack and the visit that we had. Just 3 little snippets. They're not really enough for a story on their own, but this is a lovely way to just make sure that I capture those tiny little moments that we shared together. And then that's my page all done. This is such a fun technique and I love how it turned out, so I will definitely be doing this one again. The high and low kit from Feed Your Craft is still available in store, so I will leave a link for you down below if you'd like to go and pick one up for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Leave me any comments or questions you've got down below, and if you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!